Good day folks, this is Chris Etteron with the last video for January 2018. As we promised, we'll have a quick discussion around some of the customs issues. Now this is going to be really basic and there are a lot of people out there that knows way more than I would ever in terms of customs, so ask them the questions. If something is wrong, they can come back to me and advise me accordingly. But this is the basic stuff. The complicated stuff we'll leave for those that's better suited to deal with that. I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about what is a customs procedure, but before we do that, if we can just have a look at some of the key definitions in the Customs Control Act. Just 3 of them today, so we get a sense of the difference in the vocabulary that we use as commercial people versus VAT people versus Customs and Excise people. And the first thing is clear. What does it mean when you clear something? Now, clear is an action which is taken by the person that imports goods or exports goods. So that's not a customs action, it's a me action. It's when I put my return in the SAD 500, then I clear goods. I take the document to customs and I say, listen, are you happy that I may import these goods or I may export those goods? Customs then reacts to this, and in terms of my clearance request, and they release the goods. They say, okay, you can do with the goods as you have requested. That is, a release notification comes back to you through the SARS system, and then the goods are released. So clearing is a me action, release is a customs action. If we then look at just the concept of free circulation is really what it says. Goods are either under customs control or they're under free circulation. So free circulation is I can do with the stuff with whatever I want. It's not under customs control. It's under customs control, then it is what it is. It's under the control of customs until something happens. So how does it get under customs control? And that's where the customs procedures come in. So if you, for example, import goods, those goods can be imported and cleared for home use. That means the goods come in free circulation. After it's been cleared for home use, I can do with the stuff whatever I want. I could also, under certain circumstances, import those goods under customs procedure. Now, customs procedure is a procedure that causes the goods to remain under customs control. So, on the customs system, it shows that 10 boxes of XYZ has come in. Those goods are either on their way to a warehouse, or you're going to use those things in a manufacturing process, in bond, or they going to go in transit straight through South Africa to the northern borders in transit, for example, and there are quite a few other options. But those things remain within under customs control for as long as that customs procedure goes on. So essentially, if you look at how many customs procedures there are, let me just have a quick look there. There's 12 customs procedures. Now, I'm going to not mention all of them. You can read them in your own time. But it starts with Chapter 8 of the Customs Control Act, and then it goes on until the end of all the procedures. But just some of those procedures. The National Transit Procedure, there you can see, it's a transit from a place in South Africa to another place in South Africa. The International Transit Procedure, that's a procedure where goods are transited from a place in South Africa to outside South Africa. The Excise Warehouse Transit Procedure, the Transshipment Procedure, that's when goods come into South Africa and is transferred from one ship to another and the ship leaves again, and so forth and so on. So the process for each one and the documentation for each one of these procedures is exactly the same. Sorry, not exactly the same. The same document is used, but different codes are used. So if you look at the warehousing code, for example, the warehousing procedure, all of that is under code H, and then you have other subcodes under which it is cleared. Now, the code plus the subcode goes onto your SAD 500. So if SARS goes to the SAD 500, they look at that specific block, and in that block you show it's cleared under H40, for example, 00. What does that mean? It means it's cleared for the warehousing procedure, which is H. 40 is the initial importation, and 00 means there's no previous procedure. So what can also happen is you can move things between procedures. So you can move things from a bonded facility, for example, to a manufacturing bonded facility. That's something that can be done. So then it moves from one procedure to another procedure. So customs procedure. So all that happens then is that the form that you fill in changes. Now the process for that form to change is something that needs to be considered. Because remember, from a VAT perspective, you need a document to claim the input tax which was claimed when those goods are ultimately cleared for home use. So when you ultimately clear those goods for home use, you pay your VAT, you claim it back, but the document must be correct. So if we kind of stuff up the documentation preparation up to that point in time, we minus our input tax. And we've seen this practically happening in a number of instances where the right process wasn't followed. Let me give you just one example to finish this video off. In the warehousing procedure, for example, the Act makes provision, the Customs Control Act makes provision for two kinds of warehouses, private warehouses and public warehouses. Private warehouses, in a private warehouse, you can only hold your own goods. In a public warehouse, anybody's goods can go in there. Then you've got a procedure that I can sell my goods while my goods are in bond, and that would be a zero-rated supply in terms of 11(1)(u) of the VAT Act, provided you have the right customs documentation. So what do you need to do from a customs documentation? Well, perspective. Well, you can very simply change the form saying I've have a revised SAD 500 because the goods are sold in bond. But if that is, and that would be okay if those goods are in a public warehouse. But if those goods are in a private warehouse, you cannot use that procedure because you cannot sell goods to an outside party in a private warehouse. So what needs to happen in that case? There the goods first must be moved in terms of in-transit procedure from one warehouse, being the private warehouse, to a public warehouse, and then the sale can take place in the public warehouse. And that is the chain of documentation that's needed to get your input tax ultimately, or to support your zero-rated supply. And this gets quite scary if we do not, as tax and VAT practitioners, have an understanding how the customs processes work. And that's what we'll do in the videos every month. We'll take one of these procedures, we'll unpack it a little bit more and see how it impacts on VAT compliance. I trust that will be of some assistance to you, and maybe also give you an indication of the urgency, I guess, of upskilling ourselves in terms of the processes that govern both VAT and Customs and Excise. Now again, the golden rule. The golden rule is not to pay the man the golden money. The golden rule is to share this video with your friends and your enemies if you don't like them, if you think the video is not worth looking at. But be that as it may, this is Chris Setteron checking out the last time for January 2018. Have a wonderful day.